Christian Combs, the eldest son of Sean Diddy Combs, worked behind the scenes with the federal prosecutors in New York a few days before the start of his father's explosive trial for serious charges of sexual trafficking and racketeering. Two sources close to the police confirmed that the files examined on Friday include a sealed memo detailing the testimony of a family member. The defense attorneys claim that this mysterious witness is none other than 27-year-old rapper King Combs. Prosecutors believe that Christian has direct knowledge of private jets, exclusive guest lists, and discreet money transfers linked to Diddy's famous holiday in the Hamptons and Miami.
Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you powerful stories. Thanks for the support.
These events, which spread from 2015 to 2022, are at the heart of a large-scale investigation. This cooperation could upset the case. Mark Diaz, former U.S. Attorney General, stated that the testimony of a loved one is extremely rare and incredibly powerful, especially in cases of conspiracy like this one. Fox News: Diddy recently rejected a plea agreement that would have limited his sentence to 12 years, and his legal team is ready to fight at every step. The confidential memo, filed Tuesday, does not specify whether Christian has concluded a formal immunity agreement. However, internal sources indicate that things have evolved quickly after interior security agents searched Diddy's home in Los Angeles and Miami in March, seized his phone, laptop, and detailed financial files. Members of the defense team who saw the evidence claim that at least 14 of the devices seized contained personal conversations that prosecutors now want to confirm through live testimony. If he is found guilty of all charges, Diddy could face more than 20 years in prison. Christian, who was not inculcated, would try to distance himself legally by concluding this discreet agreement. Every member of the family who witnessed or suspected transaction actor was under surveillance as soon as the devices were seized, said Yusef Roberts, a defense consultant and former DA agent. Even more disturbing, messages extracted from an encrypted application would show Christian organizing private flights to invite prestigious guests to parties entirely in white in the Hamptons, as well as parties on yachts in the Bay of Biscayne. Prosecutors claim that these flights, financed by screen companies linked to Bad Boy Entertainment, are the key to proving that Diddy conducted a coordinated operation using his employees to illegally transport people across the states. Diddy's legal team is counterattacking. They argue that private jets simply transported celebrities to classic industry parties and denies any illegal intent. On Thursday, the main defense attorney, Aaron Sussman, accused the government of instrumentalizing family ties, stating that forcing a son to turn against his father represents a new low in celebrity lawsuits. Sussman asked Judge Aaron Subramanian to examine the sealed testimony before the opening plea, but the judge announced that he would wait for Christian to be questioned during the jury selection. Christian's team remains silent, invoking legal restrictions, but a close source confirms that he has already met the prosecutors twice in early April. When asked publicly about his support for his father, Christian said, "I support PUG because he is innocent and I believe in his innocence by 10%. Christian Combs thinks his father is innocent. That's why he refuses to plead guilty. He wants to tell the truth about this case, in the hope of proving that a black man can win against the U.S. federal judicial system." While the judge was speaking, Diddy, sitting at the defense table with his lawyers, showed no emotion. He drinks a sip of water before being escorted out of the audience room by the American Marshals. Diddy's lawyers promised to fight. An audience is scheduled for Wednesday in front of the judge who will supervise this trial. They hope to get a release for their client. Christian would have spoken to the prosecutor in the presence of his own lawyers. Coincidence or not, it was at this moment that Diddy's entourage began to complain about being kept apart. Sources indicate that the pressure is not only exerted on Diddy, but especially on his circle of celebrities. Last week, 50 Cent revived the controversy on the internet by claiming to own legal documents, naming well-known personalities, having taken advantage of projects related to Diddy. Prosecutors are already interested in these allegations. They have assigned to compare payment receipts for the appearance of celebrities, sponsorship checks, and ways of distributing money behind the scenes. For the moment, no other family member is officially cooperating, but investigators would have contacted Justine Combs and Quincy Brown to ask them to testify voluntarily. In the world of Afro-American entertainment, reactions are shared. Some veterans compete with Christian, stuck between family loyalty and judicial pressure. Others claim that he has the duty to tell the truth. In reality, culture cannot claim the truth and then blame the first member of the family who speaks, says music journalist Danielle Harper. Diddy remains a major figure, From the late 90s to after the pandemic, his summer parties attracted Mary J., Blige, Usher, Bianca Copyright, Jay-Z, athletes, and tech giants. But today, prosecutors claim that these parties served as recruitment grounds for the alleged traffic operation. Diddy's legal team rejects this theory, calling it pure fiction intended to tarnish the image of a maniac. However, according to experts, when a family member becomes a witness, it can link evidence, financial traces, transactions, testimonies. Money shows how, but relatives show why, explains Grace Harris, a law professor specializing in celebrity criminal cases. The sealed memo would list 6 major themes that Christian would be ready to address: private jet passengers, payment instructions by companies linked to Diddy, discussions during the parties, the roles of security, money distribution after the parties, and the instructions given when the media began to investigate. Diddy's team doesn't give up. It claims that Christian wasn't a decision-maker and wasn't aware of anything illegal. As for the jury selection, both sides think they can close the case in 3 days, which is surprising for such a mediatized case. One of the key issues, according to analysts, will be the ability to form an impartial jury, despite the public opinion that already assimilates this case to the Epstein case. Earlier this year, Christian was indicated on social media that he was focusing on music and fashion, not finance. But March's downfalls would have greatly shaken him, especially after the video was broadcast showing armed agents invading Diddy's house in Los Angeles, a place where Christian often recorded. Diddy's plea agreement would have forced him to recognize a racket accusation chief and another trafficker, to return all the weapons seized, and to pay $20 million in fines. His lawyer described this agreement as too severe and Diddy's unfair portrait as a criminal brain. The trial, scheduled for Monday, should attract a huge crowd. Seats in the audience room are assigned by draw. The prosecutors have started strong, exposing what they call a complex operation mixing business and crime. They claim that Diddy used his empire of the spiritual and the night to hide serious criminal activities. But the defense supports that the case is based on a misinterpretation of consented adult relationships. According to them, the witnesses are motivated by the money of the civil trials, not by justice. If Christian Combs is allowed to testify, this could change the dynamic. The prosecutors consider calling him from the beginning of the trial, before even other key witnesses whose identities remain secret. Mark Diaz, former prosecutor, claims that starting with a relative is a bold strategy. This allows to lock the story from the start. The impact is already felt in the industry. Some distributors of alcoholic drinks have suspended their orders of tequila Dalia Superscript 3N, waiting for the revelations of the trial. At the same time, the listeners of the Bad Boy music catalog explode, the fans plunging back into this era. The case resonates strongly in the Afro-American culture. Some activists evoke the emotional weight that a son witnessing against his father can represent. During the last hearing, preceding the trial of Sean Combs, he appeared in search of the presence of his relatives in the room. Unlike the previous hearings, neither his sons, nor his mother, nor his sister were present. Questioned about the possibility of the presence of minors or compromising videos, legal observers responded by the negative, stating that there was no proof of this in the criminal case. Monique Reed, president of the Black Women's Justice Collective, stated that if this case allowed to give a voice to the survivors, then it goes beyond the limits of a simple audience room. To this day, Christian has not yet signed an official statement as a witness. Diddy's lawyers may still oppose certain questions if they believe that they could incriminate him. A follow-up hearing is scheduled for Monday at 8 a.m., that is, 30 minutes before the beginning of the jury selection. Diddy remains detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, without possibility of release under caution. Judge Subramanian estimated in March that the new accusations, combined with the found weapons, justified the preventive detention. The lawyers try to renew the request for release by invoking family health problems, but the prosecutors refuse. They claim that Diddy has too many international connections and resources so that we can trust him. Christian maintains his online presence, promoting his future EP, but all these shooting dates are suspended. A representative of his label, CIN Music Group, has declared to respect the judicial process and will not make any additional comments. During the trial, Combs will not wear the prisoner's uniform, but civilian clothes. His lawyers will defend the idea that the relations described in the trial were consensual between adults. the court must still decide if Christian's cooperation agreement can be used in the trial. The difficulty remains to find a neutral jury able to remain objective in one of the most mediatized in recent years. New documents have just been revealed that Diddy would have channeled at least $74 million through a network of 17 screen companies between 2006 and 2023. The transfers, revealed in a judicial request filed on Friday night, show transfers from Bad Boy Entertainments to LLCs registered in Delaware, Nevada, and the British Virgin Islands. Investigators say this system financed Gulfstream private jets, luxury rentals in the Hamptons, and high-level security devices. According to prosecutors, Diddy would have set up this business system to avoid any personal responsibility. Lydia Marcato, a judicial accounting expert hired by the government, claims to have spotted identical delays of 5 figures carried out a few hours before high-risk events. According to the judicial documents, 2 invoices show that Christian Combs would have signed as an internal validator for yacht rentals and freight costs. This directly associates him to the financial trace, thus reinforcing the idea of an expanded cooperation mentioned in the sealed memo on Thursday. But Aaron Sussman, Diddy's chief lawyer, replied by qualifying his records as mere normal hospitality costs. In a letter to Judge Subramanian, he accuses the government of transforming banal expenses into criminal plans. Another rebound at the end of the week. Federal agents executed an additional mandate at J.P. Morgan Chase looking for recordings linked to the marketing fund of Tequila Delia Superscript 3N. A massive transfer of €900 was spotted from Delia Superscript 3N to an inactive media company belonging to a former Diddy advisor. The next day, this money would have been used to pay for a private jet carrying 8 unidentified passengers to Nassau, in the Bahamas, as part of the now famous White Sands weekend mentioned elsewhere in the indictment. Record companies and commercial partners are mobilizing to assess their exposure. Reval TV published a statement claiming to have no connection with these companies and promised to cooperate, if assigned. On its side, Diageo Maison of Ciroc and Kai Vodka, having already cut ties with Combs last year, concluded its internal audit confirming that no financial links exist. But branding specialists warned that if the trial reveals the dark mechanisms of the Diddy empire, it could break trust, which has allowed luxury brands to invest in the urban market since the 2000s. On the charitable side, Diddy's lawyers have underlined their efforts of good faith, as it came voluntarily to New York. But prosecutors support that Combs is not worthy of trust, even accusing attempts to intimidate witnesses. Financial records also show $6.4 million in donations, including €450 to the University Award and €300 to an artistic organization for young people in Los Angeles. Generous? It may not be. Prosecutors claim that some of these donations have been followed up by similar withdrawals on their personal accounts, suggesting a strategy of disguised remuneration. It's circular financing, explains John Mendez, former criminal investigator of the IRS. Charity becomes an outlier when banks ask too many questions. The list of witnesses to compare is already well filled. 3 former aviation employees should testify, one of whom is a mechanic ready to say that the flight records were erased from the names of passengers before the audits. According to him, this was justified as a measure of VIP confidentiality by the Combs aviation manager. Diddy's lawyers described this statement as unrealistic and harmful distraction, not having its place in court. Unusual event. Judge Subramanian summoned an audience on Sunday afternoon, proof of the tension surrounding the case in the tight schedule. The impact is felt in the entire music industry. The auction house Sotheby's reported the sale of Diddy's contemporary art collection scheduled for July. The spokesperson explained that they can't guarantee a clear title as long as the federal seizure is still in full swing. At Warner Music Group, an emergency committee was called in to analyze the risks. They are worried that the streaming revenue, through publications controlled by Combs, will be frozen as a result of the seizure rules. At a press conference, Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, called on the public to distinguish the judicial procedure from the moral judgment, while acknowledging that this case could eclipse Diddy's past philanthropic actions. Howard University did not say if it would return the donations received if this was proven to be dubious. The trial announces massive, probably one of the most media-friendly that Hollywood has ever seen. Last rebound on Friday night. The prosecutors announced their intention to invoke Federal Rule 404B, allowing them to present Diddy's previous acts. This includes an incident in Miami in 2013, where two former bodyguards claim to have been charged with confiscating the guests' phones and deleting photos. Diddy's lawyers reacted quickly, accusing the prosecutors of wanting to influence the jury with anecdotes without real links. But legal analyst Rebecca Roof explains that such evidence is often admitted if it establishes a behavioral pattern or mobile. The Justice Department is already strengthening its security. New control points, overflowing rooms for the media of comparable measures to those of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. While the weekend was coming to an end, Diddy's team filed a request to protect family private conversations. In response, the prosecutors asked the judge to speed up the publication of all expert reports that the defense intends to use. The last preparatory conference is scheduled for Monday at 9 a.m. This will be an opportunity to set up the last logistical points and finalize the witness calendar. Christian Combs' status as a cooperative witness remains sealed, but multiple internal sources expect him to testify within the first week. If he does, he could confirm the flyers, the receipt of payments, and the encrypted messages, giving the prosecutor a considerable strategic advance. The defense, on the other hand, is preparing a total repost. Sussman said that he will firmly question all cooperative witnesses and question Christian's motivations, especially since he has never been inculpated. The recently revealed financial records give an unprecedented insight into how Diddy's musical income could have led to illegal practices. This trial, already perceived as a key moment for the responsibility of celebrities, will highlight family loyalty, complex finances, and the uncertain future of an empire once untouchable. If you have followed so far, do not hesitate to share your impressions on this out-of-the-ordinary case. The rest will be up in the air.
What do you think of this story? If you like this video and want to understand what the media isn't telling you, you've come to the right place. Here it's unfiltered content, daily. If this story has inspired you, remember, kindness is a ripple that always ends up coming back to the one who casts it. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to like the video and subscribe for more videos. Until next time.